These are Tony and Lucia. They plan a project on increasing food security of children of school age in a community. After elaborating the project objectives and the impact chain, they need to specify how they want to measure the changes the project wants to achieve. Therefore, they have to develop indicators. An indicator is an instrument which gives you information if what you planned is occurring or not. Indicators do not only pose the base for monitoring but are also used to steer the implementation of a project, to report about its progress and for learning. As KNH focus is on children's right, the child right-based principles should be also the foundation for formulating indicators. Tony is not sure how many indicators it is best to develop. Since he has to collect, process and analyze the data for the indicators, Lucia recommends him to be careful not to develop too many indicators. According to the impact chain, this means he might want to develop a maximum of 2 indicators for each objective and sub-objective, as well as 1 indicator for each use of output and only selectively for outputs. Many times, these are already sufficiently covered by the monitoring of activities. Indicators for activities or impact are not needed. In order to understand the progress best, Tony and Lucia might want to combine quantitative and qualitative indicators. Quantitative indicators measure concrete or countable events, objects, or people. For example, 2 out of 3 children had to skip a meal in the past week. Qualitative indicators measure perceptions, opinions, or behavior, however, may be reported in quantitative terms. For example, 2 out of 3 children are satisfied with their level of food security. It is important to define what is understood by a low level, medium level, and high level of food security. After Tony has decided on the number of indicators, he is now unsure what type of indicators to use. Tony and Lucia therefore need to be clear about what exactly is to be measured and how to best capture the change. To do this, Lucia suggests Tony to ask himself the following questions. How do we notice increased food security of children? Can we give concrete examples that show an increased food security? Further along, in order to get a more concise indicator, they could ask, what would be the most important change when children are satisfied with their level of food security? Variables for high food security may include children eating more varieties of foods than before, children not having to skip a meal, or children receiving 1 free school meal per day. The next step is to define how change will be measured. There are at least 3 forms of measuring or describing values. Metric measuring is given in numbers, rate or percentage. For example, the food production has increased by 10%. Classification is made where metric measuring or scoring does not make sense or where it is difficult. It may be used for physical or tangible aspects like describing the kind of livestock, social groups, for example age clusters or status of education, and yes/no questions like children attending school. Scalable measuring is used when there is no material change but a qualitative change that is to be quantified, for example for the level of satisfaction or to what degree the objective has been achieved. Since Tony's and Lucia's project targets children, children should also be involved in the development of indicators using participatory approaches. To assure that the indicators are technically sound, SMART criteria are used. Therefore, Tony is applying the criteria on Lucia's and his following idea for an indicator on the sub-objective level: percentage of children of school age who experience food insecurity has decreased. Is it specific? The indicator does not specify the extent to which food insecurity should be decreased, nor does it specify a target number or target group. Therefore, it is not specific. Is it measurable? Once specified, the change is tangible through measuring and quantifying the children's perception of their level of food insecurity. However, the current indicator is not measurable. Is it achievable? As there are no numbers given yet in the current indicator, it is uncertain whether it is achievable. However, generally it seems realistic. Is it relevant? The indicator seems relevant to the desired change, as Tony and Lucia aim to decrease the level of food insecurity for children of school age. Is it time-bound? Since the indicator does not specify a time frame, it is currently not terminated. An example for this indicator which meets all SMART criteria would be, by 2028, 70% of school-aged children in the 3 selected schools in each community experience at least a high level of food security.